You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that. Hi, hello, welcome to the latest edition of the Show Before the Show podcast. Just been sitting here listening to Sam and Ben talk about, professional things that they do. And I was watching stuff on my phone. So that I feel like that's an accurate portrayal of the three of us. How are you guys?
Normally our pre-show editorial meetings are much more, I'll say PG-13 rated. Like this was very professional.
Today was it was X-rated. It was like a 1970s mob movie that had not passed the censors.
Yeah,
brutal.
Ben was taking us through his hits.
It was brutal.
This is why Ben goes on the road every month, is just to get out of New York for a little while.
To escape the tails.
Yeah, kind of like Grand Theft Auto style, let the stars go down.
Right.
And then he shows back up and everybody forgets.
Right. Yeah. His bounty in Red Dead Redemption 2 has got to drop a little bit. Ben, is that a fair characterization?
Oh yeah, definitely. I try not to go into it on air too much. And it was an X-rated discussion. For some reason, not to get into like a discussion of X-rated material, but when I was a kid, I would read the TV Guide every week. It wasn't the TV Guide. It was like the TV Guide style insert that came in the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Okay.
I loved looking at the movie listings. And every once in a while, there'd be a movie that instead of the rating of like PG or R or whatever, it would say AO for adults only. And as a kid, I was just like, what is this AO movie? And it was a variety of Lady Chatterley's Lover movies.
Oh, interesting.
And then something like Emmanuel. Like there was like a
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, adults watch these movies? Like, whoa, Lady Chatterley's Lover. This is crazy. And I still remember it to this day.
Our good pal Josh Jackson and I are big fans of a British sitcom called Peep Show, and there's an Emmanuel joke in that show, and now we've incorporated one into this minor league baseball podcast. I'm just proud of our range sometimes.
Yeah, great range. And now that I've been an adult for quite some time. As an adult, I never sought out Emmanuel or Lady Chatterley's Lover. Put that on my
these are choices you can make at any time now, Ben.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true though. I mean, yeah, you could order it from the internet, but I feel like, something as weird as like the movies that you saw in the paper when you were a kid, you should be like fumbling around the back room of a video store in order to get those. You can't just easily like, I'll get them from Amazon. No, it's like you have to go into like the section that they have curtained off in the back of the video store. Go to Blockbuster Bend, Oregon, and see if you can figure that out.
There are a lot of like 25-year-olds who are listening to this podcast just being like, what are you talking about?
These idiots talking?
There's curtains and what is a video store?
Old?
Yeah. In college, I worked at a video store with one of those sections.
I do remember like being little and, you'd walk by and kind of try to get a peek in like, what is in there? What are they cordoning off back there? But this is just the way that we tell you all that we're pivoting this podcast to only talk about 80s and 90s video rental places. It's now before the main show at the theater or something. But we welcome you into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. My name is Tyler Mon, Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill, my trusty cohorts who are in two separate locations today as we kick things off. You can get in touch with this podcast at MLB.com. We got a great email the other day from a guy named Luke, I believe his name was, who was asking us if he could satisfy any power washing needs that we had for this podcast. So obviously very tuned in with what we do here. But you too can send along your queries, your thoughts, your comments, and everything else. Podcast at MILB.com. And you can find us as well on social media for however long that twitter.com exists. Ben's at Ben's Biz. Sam is at Sam Dykstra MILB, and I am at Tyler Mon. Although Sam might need to change that because this morning he's wearing an MLB Network polo. Soon it might just be Sam Dykstra MLB. And he is down in a town that we are deeming for this week, Amarillo, Texas. Hi, Sam.
How long were you sitting on that?
Since like the moment we started.
Okay.
Not started the recording, but like since we got on the phone.
See, I thought I was the one
phone.
sitting on a
What?
joke, because when you're talking about like what would our show be called, and I'm like, really, the minor leagues are the coming attractions of baseball,
Oh, I see.
if you want to put it that way, at least in terms of a player perspective.
I just thought of another joke that I'm just gonna leave. Anyway,
That's gonna be for the post show.
Amarillo, Texas. I am most overjoyed. Well, I'm going to ask you a question about something else a little bit later on, but tell us about the Amarillo experience so far, Samuel.
Yeah, so I'm down here for the MLB Pipeline Game of the Month, which we talked about last week. Previewed it. It's coming up on Thursday, which is tonight when we're recording. So when you guys hear this, the game will have already happened. But
now, explain to folks the parameters of the game of the month, because if we have fans who tuned in for this episode who weren't with us last year, give us the rundown of the game of the month.
Yeah, so the game of the month is something we kind of envisioned as being I guess the metaphor I always use is, or the simile, I guess, is kind of like college game day for the minor leagues. We want to show up to a minor league ballpark and really blow out the experience. I mean, a lot of people know, especially people who listen to the show, I'm sure, know that you can stream minor league baseball games, but not everybody does. So we want to really highlight that, hey, this stuff is always available to you. We have free games of the day every day, but hey, if we have a presence on site, we can really bring something to fans. So this year, we're blowing it out even more. I'm here with some MLB Network folks as well. We've been recording an entire ballpark tour of Hodgetown here in Amarillo, taking you inside the clubhouse, taking you over to bar 352 in left field, taking you to the dugout seats right behind home plate, bringing you places you may not go, or if you're trying to plan a visit to Amarillo, showing you exactly what it looks like. It's a great companion to our ballpark guides that we talked about tons on this show. There's going to be the video that we put together from this is going to be embedded in that ballpark guide. So we're just making that even a more all-encompassing experience. I've been recording a bunch of player interviews. I talked to like Jordan Lawler yesterday, AJ Vukovich, Evan Carter, who you'll hear later on this show, Owen White, that I'm going to be doing a pitching lab story on. He showed me a bunch of his pitching grips. So you're going to see exactly what makes Owen White such a special Rangers prospect. And we're just filming a bunch of social content. We're trying to show you, like last night was Copa night here in Amarillo. So the Amarillo Sod Poodles played as the Pointy Boots. And in a great piece of Texas League synergy, they played the Frisco Rough Riders, but Frisco brought their Copa jersey. So they were playing as the Quesos. So instead of Rough Riders versus Sod Poodles, you had the Quesos versus the Pointy Boots. And I love that. That's exactly what we're here for, is to kind of highlight that stuff. And it's going to be a lot of packages coming to MLB.com and MILB.com in terms of visual video content. We're also doing a Q&A with AJ Vukovich later, and doing a longer interview with Jordan Lawler that'll be up on the site as part of a partnership with Nationwide. But it's just, it seems like a lot of, it's just like a lot of stuff that we're trying to bring you right here to Amarillo, even if you've never been here, because we hope you do come here someday. Or if you don't, we hope you watch a game on MLB TV, because that's available to you.
My first thought among all of this is from your Instagram story this morning, Sam, and there was a picture of the Big Texan Steakhouse, and I just need to know if you have treated yourself to a visit actually to the Big Texan yet.
So here's the thing.
So that's a no.
That's
obviously.
a no. That's a no. That's a no. I'm actually staying right next door to the Big Texan.
Ah,
But as part of blowing out coverage of the Amarillo Sod Poodles, this will be my third Sod Poodles game in a row tonight on Thursday. You know, I landed here on Tuesday. I went to the ballpark. Wednesday, I got there around noon, and I was there until 10:30 at night for an epic game that we can talk about later. And today, I'm about to get to the ballpark again at noon. Big Texan opens at 10 a.m. They don't serve breakfast, and they close by the time I'm back. So
Yes, but what they do serve, you know, I'm an expert on Amarillo, having spent 3 nights there in 2019. I went to the Big Texan. I didn't eat there. I just went in. It's a very kitschy establishment. But they have a eating challenge that Sam, he's talking about content. Somehow I've yet to hear him talk about this content, which is why you go to Amarillo. They have an eating challenge that takes place. It is always available. It's a 72-ounce steak with potatoes
Sam.
and other fixins. And if you eat it in a set amount of time, you get it for free.
1 hour.
Fame and fortune. And I sent Sam a picture that I'd taken saying, hey, you can do this. Being really thoughtful about how he could provide the best content to the people. And, oh, I'm at the ballpark. Oh, I'm doing minor league baseball things. Sam, Big Texan, skip the game tonight if you have to.
People want to hear about the prospects,
Yeah.
not my meat
Okay,
sweats.
no. You know what I did for this content that you guys are talking about? And
Let's
the amount
hear
of
it.
crap I had a calf fry on camera.
All right,
Get out of here.
All right,
Get out of here.
give him some credit for that. He ate a calf fry. There are what, like 6? Sam is not in town for a calf fry promo night, but the Sod Poodles are playing as the calf fries, I think on 6 occasions this year. So Sam, was this a special calf fry in that they weren't selling it in the ballpark, but one was acquired just for you? What was the experience here? And a calf fry is, we're a family show, even though we were talking about adults only content at the front.
It's a Rocky Mountain oyster under a different
Rocky
name.
Mountain oyster. It's a male, it's a bull related delicacy.
Yeah, and thank you
not
for
for the
calling
bowl.
it special, Ben. Thank you for saying they made it specially for me, because you know what? They did make it special. We had to ask them because we wanted on camera for Amarillo to show us like some of the stuff they make at the ballpark and that people can enjoy. So they made like the Piggly Wiggly hot dog. They made loaded Texas style waffle fries. They brought out the 2-foot burrito for us to try, which is very good. Actually, I only had a third of it, but it was very good. But they also brought out calf fries, especially for us, and they served them in a helmet, in a special calf fries themed helmet with the calf fries logo on it. It was special. That's all I'm saying. The taste.
How was it? Yeah.
The taste was basically like anything fried. It's just loaded with batter. They give you a little cocktail sauce to dip it in. I'm chewing through it and I'm like, this just tastes like a fried anything to me. But I've talked to other people who had it and who had it along with me, and they didn't agree with the texture, which I think that was more mental than physical.
Yeah.
personally.
I think so.
But
They
I
didn't
also
think it
told people,
tasted a little nutty.
I did not get that note, but maybe they were thinking it. But when I put it on Twitter, like, hey, don't think about its origins and you're fine. And somebody was like, do you ever think of meat origins when you're eating? And I'm like, no, I don't. That's true.
True.
I don't think of what they put in a hot dog. I just eat the hot dog. So
No, it's that famous Simpsons graphic of what goes into a hot dog, including like a boot and a shoelace. Okay, well, I'm very disappointed in you that you haven't been to the Big Texan, especially that Ben gave you specific recommendations for it. There is a 72-ounce steak in 1 hour challenge at the Big Texan Steakhouse, in which if you request it, they have these giant digital clocks on the wall that start counting down from 60 minutes. It's very cool. I will say though, the Big Tex, so my fiance from East Texas, we drove last year, went to Austin for a wedding, and then we went to her hometown. So we stopped in Amarillo the first night. We went to the Big Texan. Not only was the steak amazing, the best baked potato I've ever had in my life, Big Texan Steakhouse. It was to the point where like, you don't often have a baked potato and like think about it later on, but I'm still thinking about the baked potato that I had in Amarillo like 11 months ago.
Listen, it's 11 a.m. right now. The Big Texan is open. I don't have to be at the ballpark until 12:30. So we could just pick this
So
up.
if we could speed this up.
Yeah.
I also don't
get over
understand
that.
your gripe that they open at 10, but they don't serve breakfast. Have a steak, Sam. Come on.
Steak and eggs are a thing.
Yeah, but
breakfast?
just steak solo is a thing.
No, I need
After
to go to
10
breakfast
a.m.?
places. Breakfast is an important meal of the day.
All right. Well, you're a disappointment to all of us.
I think that's
From
the first time you said that on this podcast, which I feel very proud about, to be honest.
From the baseball standpoint, though, the things that you've loved most about Amarillo, from the ballpark experience, we're gonna have a conversation with a player that you talked to in Amarillo, though not a sod poodle. What's the ballpark experience and the viewing experience, the baseball experience been like? And Ben, feel free to piggyback off of this. You were part of the real early visitors to that ballpark in 2019.
Yeah, when I
the
went
Sod Poodles
2019,
got there.
Right. When I went in 2019, that was their first season. And I was saying this to Sam before he left, and be curious if it kind of holds over. I know the weather hasn't been great at the games Sam has gone to, so maybe not like the best crowds, but Amarillo had a Texas League team, decades ago, and then hadn't had minor league baseball for a long time. And the old stadium, I believe it was called Potter Stadium, is only a couple of miles away from Hodgetown, but it's night and day. And so when Hodgetown opened and the Sod Poodles debuted, I just had this sense when I was in Amarillo that almost everyone I talked to just had this feeling of like, wow, like we didn't know this is what minor league baseball is right now. And this is amazing. And like, can you believe this is in Amarillo? There was just like a ton of excitement for the existence of the Sod Poodles. And I'm not knocking Amarillo, but I think it's a town with maybe a little less to do on the entertainment schedule than other Double-A markets. It is a wide open, it's a city, but it's a wide open, Texas locale at the same time, a lot of rural living, a lot of ranching. So not a ton of other stuff going on necessarily. And just the excitement for the Sod Poodles and this entity was like palpable when I was there. And do you sense that 4 years later, Sam, that Sod Poodles mania is still a thing?
I think it is. You're right that like the days I've been here have been cold April weather. I mean, it was cold and rainy last night. There weren't that many people at the ballpark, but all the suites were filled, and they're still selling out those dugout seats. And even if you're not sitting there being cold and rainy, you can still go up to the suite level. And everybody seemed to be having a great time. Like this is what you do on a Wednesday night in Amarillo. Is you come to the ballpark. It's a big open bar, essentially. I mean, not open bar in that you're not paying for alcohol, but like a big wide open stadium that you can easily move around. It's got one of those 360 concourses. And talking to President and GM Tony Ensler, and he was giving us the tour yesterday. He said that's by design. We wanted to make a stadium that was pretty open concept. We know people now aren't looking to just sit in a seat for 2.5 to 3 hours. They want to be moving. They want to experience different aspects of the ballpark, and we want to give them access to all that. So even on nights like last night, there was still a big presence because people could go inside, they could get warm, they can come back out, they can move around. That was really cool. And just, I think the way the ballpark is set up is that it's pretty well stacked on itself. It's one of those city ballparks that had to be fit into a certain location. It was built on the grounds of a former Coke bottling plant. So they didn't have like acres and acres of space to build on. So it's kind of tight in that area. And there's not that many seats. It's 6,200, but it can get loud. I mean, the game I was at on Tuesday night, Amarillo was coming back after being down 7-1 at some point, and there may have been 1,000 people left in the crowd. It sounded like 3,000 or 4,000. Everybody was right in it. They were yelling and screaming. They were getting loud. I'm sure you could hear it from blocks away. There still seems to be that feeling of this is cool. This is the thing we do here in Amarillo. I would love to come back in a warmer time, in July and August and see what a real crowd is like. But I think we're going to get a taste of that tonight on Thursday. I mean, temperatures are back up in the 70 degrees. It's Thirsty Thursday. I mean, I'm expecting another great crowd tonight, and I'm sure that's going to be even louder.
Well, it is going to be a bunch of fun in Amarillo all season long, but especially tonight with Sam Dykstra in the house. People know what the coolest moments of the season are. And speaking of being on the road, well,
I just wanted to say one other thing.
Sir.
One other thing about Amarillo that I've constantly brought up about that place whenever we talk about it is how hitter friendly it is, because of it's at elevation, because there's usually some wind. It's usually going right to left. So if you're a right-handed batter, you just hit it up into the breeze and it's going to kind of just go. And guys routinely have ERAs in the 7s or 8s in games played at Amarillo. But the 2 games I've been here, it's lived up to that reputation. The first game, Amarillo was down 7-1, ended up winning 9-7. Last night, I'm at that game. It's 11-1 with Frisco. It's cold and rainy. You feel like everybody's just trying to pack it in. They end up winning 12-11 in extra innings. And Jordan Lawler hits a 3-run homer in the 8th, and then he gets the walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th. I mean, he even said it, like, you can feel it. Anything can happen. He said anything can happen at the Hodge, which I love. I hope they print shirts that say that. But no lead is safe. You feel like anything can just snowball. And to see that in person these last 2 nights has been really special. Now, having said that, tonight's game is going to be 3-2. But, that's the way it goes. But still, to know about this place and cover it for a while and think like, okay, this is what I expect. And then to see it in person has been really special. So if you're a fan of offense, if you want to see some crooked numbers, Amarillo is the place to be.
A lot of fun stuff coming from that visit, of course, to the sites. And you can follow Sam on Twitter at Sam Dykstra, MILB. And as noted, speaking of being on the road, our intrepid road journeying reporter, Benjamin Hill, is headed back on the road in 2023. Trips coming up. Ben, let's hear it. Unveil itinerary number 1.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I've made an itinerary for the whole season. I think I'm just going to announce them one at a time because things can be subject to change, maybe some tweaks, but I've got a season schedule down finally. And it starts a week from when this podcast drops. Friday, May 5th, I'm flying to Eugene, Oregon, and seeing the Emeralds. Hopefully I'll see a game that night if travel goes well, but then I'll be in town again in Eugene on May 6th to see the Emeralds' second game, in which they play is the Exploding Whales. We've talked about this on the podcast. The town of Florence, which is a little more than an hour to the west on the coast. In 1970, they had a beached sperm whale wash up on the beach, and they didn't know what to do with it, how to get rid of it. And they came up with the idea to put some dynamite in it and blow it up, thinking that it would just disperse into smaller chunks and the birds would eat it. And they put way too much dynamite in that thing and it blew up, and it's a classic moment to this day. I've always been fascinated with it. So when it came time to get back on the road, I wanted to give myself, at least one game with a real hook. And I thought, I haven't been to Eugene since 2012. And best way to do it 11 years later, go for an Exploding Whales game. So I'll be in Eugene on May 5th and 6th. Hopefully there'll be a lot of other stuff to explore there as well. They also just released a Merry Prankster's identity based on Eugene's, countercultural legacy. Ken Kesey, it's from Eugene. Tom Wolfe's book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, documented, some hallucinogenic exploration with Eugene roots and University of Oregon roots at the core. So there's a real countercultural hippie psychedelic legacy there. So maybe I can poke into that as well. So you got Exploding Whales, you got hallucinogenics. We'll see what Eugene brings, but that should be a good one. May 5th and 6th. And then heading up on Sunday, May 7th to Hillsboro, home of the Hops, Ron Tonkin Field. I was last there in 2013 for the Hops inaugural season at Ron Tonkin Field. Hard to believe that 2023 is the penultimate season at that ballpark. But with new standards for minor league baseball facilities, as well as the fact that Ron Tonkin Field was kind of built with more of a short season team in mind, because that's what the Hops were up through until 2021. The Hops are moving to a new ballpark in 2025, right across the street from Ron Tonkin Field, which is part of a larger athletic facility. So, hey, that gives me hopefully an excuse to get back to Hillsboro for a new ballpark in a couple of years. But for now, great to go back to the Tonk again on a Sunday afternoon. Been in touch with the team, got some decent leads there for things to cover. Then Monday, it was an off day in minor league baseball. I was saying this off air, I don't really like that from a road trip perspective because, I'm not as gone on the road as long as I used to be, especially having a 2-year-old at home. So every day I'm out there, I want to go to a game, but not sure what I'll do that Monday. But Tuesday, which would be May 9th, Tacoma Rainiers at Cheney Stadium. Have not been there since 2012. So interested to go there again. I'm sure a lot has changed. That's the oldest ballpark in AAA. It's been through tons of renovations through the years, but it dates back to 1960. So overdue to go there as well. And then finally on Wednesday, which would be May 10th, Vancouver Canadians, again, for the first time since 2012, bringing my passport on a road trip and going to Nat Bailey Stadium, home of the Vancouver Canadians. I loved that ballpark last time I went. Just a classic in every sense of the word, just a real throwback. Fans who are super engaged. So it's a Wednesday night in May, but I'm sure that will be worth it as well. So that's how I'm starting things off with those 4 teams starting next week on Friday, May 5th. Eugene Emeralds, Hillsboro Hops, Tacoma Rainiers, and Vancouver Canadians. So I'm looking forward to all that and starting this season of travel. And now I have Sam Dykstra as a frenemy of sorts who's out there on his own. And I can't be one up by Sam Dykstra. I got to get out there myself. And, to be motivated by spite and jealousy is the best way to go.
I mean, if anything, this is a friendly rivalry, right? Yes.
Yeah, it's friendly, or I act like it's friendly, but on the inside, I'm just, oh no, I'm being replaced by Sam Dykstra. Doesn't he have enough prospects to cover? Now he's doing the whole Ben's base thing. No one else is allowed to go to minor league stadiums except me. I should be the only attendance.
The word of emphasis for me on that was rivalry. I just wanted to make sure that we included friendly, but it's it can be a quiet friendly if you want.
Wow.
Yeah, well, wait till my prospect coverage drops. It's going to be
yeah, Sam.
The Ben's Biz Top 100 will be epic.
Yeah, it's going to be all guys who are 28 years or older and have played at least 10 years in the minors, probably have indie ball roots. Those are the guys poised to break through, my favorites. And I'm gonna get on that right now.
Yeah.
Despite no longer being prospect eligible, Hobie Milner once again is number one.
Yeah, Hobie Milner has been number one on my list for a long time, ever since he was on the Phillies. You gotta love the whole Hobie Milners of baseball, but I feel like we just got off track. That happens sometimes. I won't see Hobie Milner on this road trip, and I think Sam and I will get through this period of professional rivalry, and everything will be okay. And I'm excited to go back on the road.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I want to ask you, Ben, is you're going through the Pacific Northwest, and I think a lot of people think about Pacific Northwest, you think of the Seattle Mariners, and for most people, that's about it. I mean, you look at like the major league presence up there. The Mariners, the closest team to them is what? The Giants and the A's? I mean, they're kind of on an island for Major League Baseball, but they're certainly not in terms of minor league baseball. What do you think defines the Northwest League as a league, and maybe, in terms of all these stops you're making, like what defines that area in terms of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, 3 of these 4 teams are in the Northwest League. Tacoma is, of course, Double-A. Speaking of Seattle, a team I wanted to work into this itinerary, but they're on the road, is the Everett Aqua Sox, who are a Mariners affiliate and play fairly close to Seattle. But the Northwest League is great. I mean, now it used to be I believe a 8-team short season league. And since 2021, it's a 6-team full season league at high A. So there's, a lot of history with these teams, smaller ballparks, often some pretty beautiful settings, if not at the ballpark itself, just a larger region. Certainly, I'm looking forward just to literally being on the road because there's such beautiful landscapes when you drive around the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, there's a lot of history. Eugene, the Emeralds date back decades and decades and decades for having a team named the Emeralds in the city of Eugene. So there's a lot of history there. They used to play at Civic Stadium, which was a classic ballpark. They had they were a Phillies affiliate, a Phillies Double-A affiliate for a number of years. Mike Schmidt played there at Double-A just before coming to the major leagues and breaking in with the Phillies in 1972. So there's history in those locales. Hillsborough, a newer environment, but representing the Portland market, which has a ton of baseball history. And Vancouver, again, a former Double-A team with one of the most classic old ballparks, not just in minor league baseball, but in all of baseball, period. So there's a lot of history to explore. You already mentioned Tacoma, Cheney Stadium being the oldest stadium in Double-A. So these are teams and towns that have roots with professional baseball. And Sam, like you said, even though the Mariners are quite isolated on the major league level, there's a lot of towns, within a couple hours of Seattle that are longtime hosts of minor league baseball. And, it's important for people to know that, and, beautiful area of the country to visit in any context. And it's great for baseball.
So that is what is on the horizon for Sam Dykstra and Benjamin Hill. And we have something on the horizon from Sam Dykstra, and that is a conversation with the top prospect in the Texas Rangers organization, Evan Carter, a guy who is from an Appalachian League town, by the way. I just want to point out that he is from Elizabethton, Tennessee, and that's pretty cool. Sam, give us the lowdown. What's coming up with Evan Carter?
Yeah, Evan Carter, as you mentioned, Tyler, is the top prospect in the Rangers system, and somebody we've talked about, on the prospect side, of somebody we might bump up in our top 100 when we do market corrections here upcoming in May. Entering Thursday, he has a 514 on base percentage in the Texas League. That would be astounding at any age, but he's only 20 years old. He's not turning 21 until late in August. And I know there's some rumblings around Arlington that, like, should he just skip AAA and join the major league club? I don't think that's going to happen. We talk a little bit about that with him in this interview, but he has a tremendous eye. He might have the best eye in minor league baseball in terms of judging what's a strike, what's a ball, what to swing at, what not to swing at. And that's a skill that translates everywhere. And he's not just that. I mean, he has a plus run tool. He plays center field. He plays a good center field. I saw him homer the other day. We have his power at 50, but it was a shot to the opposite field in left center. So, his power plays basically anywhere. Evan Carter could be a big piece of the puzzle for the Texas Rangers, a team that has been very active on the free agent market the last few years and has a good farm system that just needs to produce at the major league level. So Evan Carter's putting himself on that map, and here I am talking to him before this week's MLB Pipeline Game of the Month from Amarillo.
They ain't just like a little yipping dog, a little bit smaller than a big groundhog. They run real wild and they smile all the time. They used to be called prairie dogs, but that won't work for Double-A ball when it's the bottom of the ninth and the game is on the line. They are the sod poodles, that's right, they're called the sod poodles. And when you come to our rough and rugged town, you might laugh and point and say, oh lordy, man, their name's insane. But you won't be laughing when you get beat down by the sod poodles,
All right, Evan, this is your second year in the Texas League. Just what is it like being at Double-A, first and foremost, being 2 stops away from the major leagues?
Yeah, it's it's just a stop along the way. It's super exciting. We've got a great club here going on right now, and just trying to, make the most of the opportunities we've got here right now, and just see where it takes us from there.
Yeah, and what stands out so much about this talented club? You guys have multiple top 100 prospects, multiple guys ranked within the Rangers top 30. What is so special about these guys, and how have you guys kind of coalesced these first couple weeks?
Yeah, I think it's been great just because not only is there a lot of talent on the team, but it's a great clubhouse environment too. We got a lot of great personalities, and along with that, the coaching staff's been great too. So it's really cool to get to compete, with your own team and get better. It's awesome.
Who are you looking forward to playing with most on this Frisco team when you found out you were going to Double-A again?
Yeah, so I think that obviously Tom Sajasi was with me last year. He's my best friend. I love playing with him. He's a great clubhouse guy. Luis Angel, he's great. There's so many people to name, and it's been really good.
Yeah, and you got a couple days in this ballpark now. It's known as one of the most hitter-friendly in the minor leagues. What stood out to you about playing here specifically?
Yeah, I saw it yesterday, hitter-friendly for me firsthand. It's really cool. Obviously, the weather's awful right now, but, it's a beautiful park, and just try and take advantage of it while you're here for sure.
And Evan, you're off to a great start too. You've got an OBP above 500. A lot of people consider you to have one of the best eyes in minor league baseball in terms of knowing what's a ball and a strike. How has that developed at this point in your career?
I appreciate it. I think that as far as developing it, man, I don't really know. Got asked that a lot, and I don't really know where it came from. It just kind of has been one of those things that I've done since I've been in the Rangers organization, and I think it's helped a lot. And it's definitely gotten better as I've gone up. You can't get behind against pitchers that are really good. You got to try and get in offensive counts as much as you can.
Yeah, and how is that something you develop? Are there drills you work on in the off season? Like, I know a lot of guys work with like VR stuff. Is there anything you work on to improve that specific part of your game?
Yeah, I think that I've done a little bit of vision training, I guess, as far as just for your eyes. But I've never really done the VR stuff and things like that. But I think vision training is kind of one of the things that has helped me a little bit.
What is vision training? Kind of take us through that.
Just basically watching things move really quick. I guess you can do it on a computer. Something will flash up really quick, and you'll try and recognize what was on there, just track things, or just make sure that you can follow a really fast moving object. It's kind of interesting to get into.
Oh, okay. And at what point did you start using that? Was that something the Rangers brought to you? Was that something you brought to yourself?
Yeah, I saw actually a couple players use it before. Tom Sajasi actually has done it before too. So he just kind of introduced it to me, and the Rangers do use it a little bit as far as just actually testing your eyes. So it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what else do you kind of attribute such a hot start to begin this season? Because I know you got a little bit of time at Double-A last year, but you're still here relatively young and off to a quick start. What has worked best?
Man, honestly, I'm just on the mental side of things, just having fun, going out there and whatever happens, happens. Not really trying to set expectations for myself. Just going out there, competing every night, and just letting whatever happens, happens. It's been really good for me.
So what do you feel like has clicked the most then when you're just going through that thought process?
Yeah, I think that whenever I just kind of free myself up mentally, I play better. If I'm out there trying to press or do too much, then, you start slowing down, rotation gets a little slower. You're not yourself. So I guess that's kind of what's clicked for me, is just being relaxed at the plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you were talking before about your homer here last night. That was an oppo shot left center. What went into that at bat, and how did everything click towards that in terms of the approach you've developed so far?
Yeah, man, they've been just tossing a lot of sliders in there the whole game. So just kind of trying to, not necessarily sitting slider, but recognizing that I'm probably going to, get one in the zone that at bat, and just kind of going up there with that approach.
Is that something you feel like has happened to you a lot in Double-A? Is that you're getting a lot of breaking balls?
I hope I keep doing it, because I love breaking balls, man. I think I've got a lot of off-speed pitches, and that's fine. If you throw it in the zone, I'll hit it, and if you throw it out of the zone, I'm not going to swing at it. So it's fine by me.
Mm-hmm. What has been the most eye-opening experience about being in Double-A between last year and this year?
I think that just the level of play, it's really cool to kind of realize how close you actually are to the big leagues. You see rehab people come down, and you play with them, and just realize, man, they're you're right there. You're really close to just kind of to get that feel of, especially like Leody Taveras was down with us a couple of weeks ago. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and what do you feel like was the specific moment where you realized just how close you were?
Probably, honestly, just when he came down. He comes and plays with us for a little while, and next thing you know, he's back up in the big leagues. And you see people get called up from Double-A all the time. So it's definitely, especially for Frisco, the big league stadium's 20 minutes down the road. So you try not to let that creep in, but it definitely is there for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you somebody who looks at a depth chart and tries to figure out
No. Shoot, playing GM in your head's a dangerous game, man. You just go out there and do what you can do, and whatever happens from there, you can't control it.
Mm-hmm. Well, between your approach and the start you've had, how close do you feel now compared to when you were in Surprise a couple weeks ago? Yeah,
man. In my head, I'm always going to think that you're right there and you're ready to play, and you feel like you can contribute. You just got to keep, making your case. You can't control the decisions that are made above you, but you just keep playing your game and, making your case for the decisions that are being made, and that's all you can do.
What do you feel like is the Evan Carter case then?
Man, I guess for me it would just be I'm doing what I can do right now, man. I just keep performing, and hopefully we can keep things rolling, and stay at this pace, and hopefully not fall off or anything. So we'll just see how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah, one thing I want to touch on with you is you were part of one of the most interesting draft classes in history, obviously, being part of a shortened draft, shortened spring going into it. What was it like going through that process coming out of Tennessee?
Yeah, it was interesting is a good word for it. It was, you go from not really thinking you're going to get drafted at all to, you see your name pop up on the TV. I'm super blessed to be in the position I'm at now, and the Rangers are an incredible organization, so it's been really good.
Yeah, and you said you were thinking you weren't going to get drafted at all. Was that, at what point did that thought process stop?
I think that we didn't get to play. I think I played like 2 or 3 high school games that year, so we didn't really get to do that. But Kip Fagg was at one of my high school games, got to talk to him a little bit, and they were there with me, and it was I guess kind of then just like, hey, they're really showing interest, and I guess that was kind of the point in time where I thought I had a chance.
So did you think you were when did you find out you were going to the second round? Was it a few minutes before? Was it when you saw your name on TV?
When I saw my name on the TV is when you know for sure. You never know. Right. Anything could happen. Somebody could say one thing and that doesn't go through, but the Rangers, they said that what they were going to do, and that's exactly what happened. So credit to them.
What was your draft day experience like? Where were you when you found out?
It was great, man. Well, we were at home. I was with my family. My now wife's family was there with me, and a couple of my buddies from back home. So it was really good.
And I feel like a lot of people didn't know who you were. You had some scouts, like you said, from the Rangers who knew that. But what was it like going through that, seeing rankings coming out, seeing mock drafts come out, your name's not coming up, and then have the Rangers have such confidence in you?
Yeah, the mock drafts and everything, I wasn't even keeping up with any of it because I was like, man, I'm going to school. Like, that's all that matters to me. I'm going to go get an education and, maybe get drafted out of college. And
right.
I guess when you actually do get drafted, in hindsight, you look back and you're like, man, I wasn't on any of that stuff. This is kind of cool. But, I know what I'm about, and the Rangers knew what I was about, and just kind of you got to trust that, that's right.
Yeah, in those initial conversations with scouts from the Rangers, what did they like most about you? What did you feel like plugged best into this system?
I've never really asked anybody that before. It worked out great. You'd have to ask them that. I don't know.
Okay, well, fair enough. But now you're in an organization, they're investing in the major league club, signing guys like Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, Jacob deGrom. What is it like seeing this organization build the way it has last
Yeah,
year?
they're spending money, and it's exciting. They want to win, and so do we. So you just hope to be part of a winning organization here really soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're talking to you here from Texas. You're a Tennessee guy. What have you learned about Texas? Now that you're playing here, you may be building a career there in a few years, or even this year.
Yeah, I love it. There's a lot of barbecue's really good. That's kind of what I've kind of learned so far. But and the people are really nice. It's a great town, especially Frisco. But Arlington, I know is going to be the exact same way. So I'm really excited.
What's your go-to barbecue order now?
Brisket. I love it. Yeah, it's really good.
They don't make it like that at home?
Not at home, no. No.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Well, a big thanks to Evan Carter from the Texas Rangers organization for joining us on this week's episode of the show before the show. No goes to the minors this week, but we are excited to preview some games that are coming up on MILB.TV. And Sam, kick us off. What are you keeping an eye on?
Yeah, so this one is going to be pretty immediate for folks in terms of the free game of the day. I mean, this is the free game of the day on Friday, but again, 6-game series. You can watch Saturday or Sunday. These two teams are still going to be playing each other. It is Memphis and Durham. Memphis, we knew, was pretty loaded to begin with. They had Mason Wynn on the roster. You always want to tune in because he could fire some dart across the diamond that's going to register 100 miles an hour. I know he played some second base earlier in the year, but the arm's always going to be special. He's a defensive highlight. But then we got news this week that the Cardinals optioned Jordan Walker to AAA.
Yeah.
That's
a thing that happened.
Literally everybody I talked to about him at the ballpark this week was like, do you know why this happened? And I kind of do, in that he's been bad in the outfield. I mean, like, by some metrics, he's been the worst outfielder in Major League Baseball, but that's because he's still transitioning there. He needs playing time. I guess he's going to get it in Memphis, but the bat was special. I mean, that hitting streak didn't go away. That happened for a reason. His WRC plus right now is 101. He's a league average bat for a young guy. He just needs to continue to get reps.
It's a little baffling.
I think they kind of found the wrong scapegoat for the Cardinals' early troubles, but that's what kind of goes when you're a rookie. And looking back at like last year with Julio Rodriguez and Adley Rutschman and Bobby Witt Jr., those guys all got off to slow starts. And guess what? Then they took the league by storm by the second half. I still think that's possible with Jordan Walker, but if you're a Cardinals fan, you'll want to check in with him over the weekend on MILB TV and MLB TV. But especially on Friday when it's the free game of the day. On the Durham side, we know Curtis Mead is a really special hitter. Been talking about that for a long time. Kyle Manzardo, their other top 100 prospect, is off to a great start. He got an aggressive assignment to AAA after, I think, about 30 Double-A games last year, but he's had no problem with that transition, playing first base and showing a little bit more power than maybe we expected to, along with a really good hit tool like Curtis Mead. So should be some fun bats in that Memphis-Durham matchup. Tyler, what are you watching?
Yeah, I'm going to be the following day's free game of the week, which is, or free game of the day, I should say, which is Louisville against Iowa coming up on Saturday afternoon. The 8th ranked prospect in baseball is the Cincinnati Reds infielder Ellie De La Cruz, who is back with that AAA Louisville team. He had a left hamstring strain that he suffered during spring training, but he's back and healthy and rolling out the start to his season. He and his Louisville Bats will be taking on the Iowa Cubs, who have Brennan Davis on that roster, my pick for the 2022 National League Rookie of the Year that didn't work out. But that's a good one that's coming up on Saturday afternoon. Ben, there's a lot coming up from your side of things as well. As in addition to that, we've got a special episode that's on the way that we've been teasing for a little while that we're getting set to put together next week.
Yeah, both of those things, since you guys are talking about, games of the week, looking at it from more the promotional side of things, interesting things that are just taking place in the minors on that level. Well, we've had this conversation before. Don't need to get into another tired argument now. I'm not a Star Wars guy. It just does not never really struck me as a franchise worth following. But clearly billions of people disagree. And really starting on Friday and then continuing into next week, through May the 4th, which is a Thursday, teams put Star Wars night all over the schedule. They take place throughout the summer here and there, but they are most highly concentrated beginning on Friday night. So if you're a Star Wars fan and you like minor league baseball, check your local listings because a lot of teams, wearing the specialty jerseys. The 501st Legion is always usually a component of those promotions. The local chapter of the 501st Legion, who have very specific standards for their costumes. They come out in character. So Star Wars all over the place, starting Friday and continuing into next week. I talk about the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp quite a bit just for their wacky theme nights and some of the most creative theme nights out there. Fresh off their Swedish furniture promotion where they had fans in a race to assemble IKEA furniture during a ball game. Their next premiere wacky theme night is Friday, tonight. If you can't duct it, meaning DUCT, duct it. And they're going to try to use duct tape in a lot of creative circumstances. I did get word that might even involve duct taping an employee, to a concourse pole or something like that. So we're going to see some real creative uses of duct tape in Jacksonville. So I think those are some of the big ones, coming up in the immediate future. Promo schedules are still a little light this time of year. Before, school's still in session, the weather can be not great. I'd also like to point out on May the 4th, instead of a Star Wars night, Columbia Fireflies are welcoming the Human Cannonball. And that's something I've never seen at the ballpark, and I always want to. But a guy, I believe his name is David Smith, gets shot out of a cannon after the game. And that's just quintessential American entertainment. I hope to see that at a ballpark at some point. Talk to the Human Cannonball himself, but he'll be in Columbia on Thursday, May 4th. So forget Star Wars, shoot a man out of a cannon instead.
No CGI required.
Yeah, exactly. This is old school. That's the old school way to get to space.
One of the biggest regrets of my career in minor league baseball was that once we had the Human Torch. Remember that guy? The guy who runs the bases while lit on fire?
Ted Batchelor. I was in regular contact with him for years and promoted everything he did. I haven't seen him around anymore. I hope he's still doing okay. But that guy was a professional stuntman who tried to get booked at minor league ballparks by getting lit on fire after the game and running around
the bases.
And he did show up in a few locales. I remember Savannah was one of the first ones back when they had the sand gnats. And it was awesome looking. And Tyler, so you were there, you saw it. It was kind of disturbing too, right? I mean,
we did not get to see it. We got rained out that night.
Oh no!
And I think he had another game booked like the next day, and we're like, "Well, we're gonna try to get him back later in the season." Never happened. I was so bummed.
Oh, I would have been super bummed about that. It was a kind of disturbing visual because it was his whole body was just flames, and he would run around the whole ballpark and get to home plate and then get doused. But the pictures looked a little disturbing, but to me, awesome. I mean, I wish there was more of that kind of thing. The old school stuntmen, vaudeville style entertainers.
Yeah.
The classic Coney Island freak show type mentality, I miss that. Or I'd like to see more of it, but yeah, Ted Batchelor, I should reach out to him. I used to be in regular contact. He had a booth at the winter meetings one year being like, yo, book me at your ballpark.
Now, what would have been some real dedication was if he was lit on fire for the entirety of the winter meetings.
Yeah, just sitting at a trade show
just
booth on fire the whole time.
Just sitting in a fireproof chair while he's up in flames. But he was a very cool act. Before we get out of here on this week's episode, we have a member of the Show Before the Show family who is hurting this week. Josh Jackson and his lovely wife, Ella Tabaski, they had to say goodbye to their little, I believe, 5-year-old dog, Callie. And we just wanted to tell Josh and Ella how much we love them and we're thinking of them. They just lost their cat, Mickey, earlier this year. And Callie was sick and diagnosed with a very rare and bizarre form of cancer. And it's been really tough last couple of days. That actually just happened yesterday as we are recording this on Thursday, early afternoon Eastern time. And they did everything they could for Callie and, tried some treatment options and all that kind of stuff. And things just were not headed in the right direction. And they were forced to say goodbye to Callie yesterday. And Callie was an awesome dog that we got a chance to meet in California in the early days of Cal Dog's tenure in the Tabaski-Jackson family. And we're obviously hurting for Josh and Ella, and we will love them both so much. And if you follow Josh on social media, go tell him that you love him. And, I said to Josh, there is a movie quote that pops into my head during times like this, which is kind of a weird one, but it's a quote from Forrest Gump when Jenny returns to her childhood home where things were not good, and she throws a ton of rocks at the windows or at the house and breaks some windows and collapses out in front of the house. And the voiceover moment is, sometimes there just aren't enough rocks. And I told Josh, like, that's how it feels sometimes when things like this happen. Like, there's just nothing good that comes from it. And sucks, man. And it's a guy that we love a lot. And so we're thinking about you, pal.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who followed Josh on social media, you got to know Callie in some way. I mean, she even went to a Bark in the Park event last week in Portland for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I know she didn't stay very long.
She was not into the actual sitting in the ballpark watching the baseball game part, but apparently she loved the dog parade around the warning track.
Yeah. I mean, if you got to know Callie at all, you knew she had like one of the brightest personalities of any living being I've ever known. Like, just the most infectious face in terms of like, just you could see a smile on her face being around Josh and Ella. And you could tell when she's sad, you could tell when she's happy, tell when she was mad. Just one of the best dogs. And to get to experience her through Josh and Ella was a joy in my life. And I only got to meet her once in Venice, California. But it was an experience I always carried with me. And knowing that she was out there was a joy to me and a brightness for me. And I know that's 100 times true for those two who got to know her every single day. So we're grateful for Josh always, but for the fact that he gave Callie such a nice home. She was a rescue dog.
Yeah,
she was a rescue pup.
She was a stray who was not doing great she was just over the border in Mexico back when Josh was living in Southern California. I can't remember if she was a Tijuana dog, but she was all, mangy and this little tiny puppy with these hilarious ears. And she was picked up by rescue, and Josh and Ella ended up adopting her. And I still remember when Josh said, yeah, we're going to, I think, foster this little puppy for a little while. And I was like, no, you just got a puppy. There is no way. There's no way that you foster this adorable puppy and you're like, all right, we'll let her move on to somewhere else. No, you just have a dog now. So with anybody out there, your pets, your dogs, your cats, your whatever else, hug them a little tighter for Josh and Ella and for all of us tonight. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Again, you can get in touch with this podcast at MILB.com. You can find us all on social media at Josh Jackson MILB if you so desire, at Ben's Biz, at Sam Dykstra MILB, and I am at Tyler Mon. And for all those guys, I'm Tyler. Looking forward to the fans episode next week, and we will talk to you then.